So I saw a video of the late Kobe Bryant's eldest daughter, Natalia Bryant, that was circulating on the internet, and it sparked my interest because it was her runway debut at Versace's spring/summer 2024 fashion show at Milan's Fashion Week. And a lot of people had things to say about her catwalk, and spoiler alert, they weren't all very positive. And let me show you the video first so you can form your own opinion on her walk. Okay, so that was her runway walk, and let's just keep in mind that this is her very first runway walk, so anything you do for the first time, you're not going to be good at it. That's just how life works, unless you're naturally gifted. And since it was her first walk, I was like, okay, let me try to find Naomi Campbell's first walk. Naomi Campbell is like the legendary, iconic supermodel, but I couldn't find her first walk, but I did find a picture and she looked amazing, so I thought I would just mention that. But right now, I'm just rambling because I don't want to admit that Natalia's walk wasn't good, because she seems like such a nice girl and her whole family is amazing and they have been through so much these past 3 years. So I didn't want to admit it, but it is what it is. Her catwalk was not that good, and a lot of people did seem to agree in the comments. So one comment read, I mean, judging by her walk, she only got that gig just because ... They're basically saying she got that opportunity to walk on Versace's runway because of who her parents are. And another read, made Mamba proud, but that walk needs to change, with a crying emoji. And another one was just straight to the point. They were like, she doesn't know how to model, but okay. And this comment I agree with 100%, and I feel like they could not have said it better. This comment reads, I love her, love the whole fam, but this is complete nepotism. And her whole family honestly seems so sweet. They seem like such good people. However, I do agree that her walk wasn't that good, and the fact that Natalia was able to make her runway debut at Versace, one of the biggest fashion designers in the world, is nepotism. And this whole incident is actually what inspired this video, because I have been thinking about this for a while now, but seeing Natalia's video and seeing the comments, I was like, this is my sign to make this video. So let's get into the world of nepotism, shall we? So let's start this video by understanding exactly what nepotism is. Here's a little definition. So nepotism occurs when individuals are hired, promoted, or given opportunities primarily because they are related to someone in power. This practice can extend to various settings, from businesses and organizations to politics and the entertainment industry. So an example of this is, let's say this company is hiring and they're looking for someone qualified to fit a certain role that they need. And the hiring manager is like, oh, I have a sister, she needs a job, let me give her this position. Since she's related to the manager, she's given that opportunity to get a job. Even though there may be way more other qualified candidates out there, the manager chooses his sister because that's his blood, that's his sister. Or this is a way more common example, and we see it all the time. Let's imagine there's a CEO of this big company, and the CEO has a lot of children, and once his kids are old enough, he promotes them to high-ranking positions within his business, bypassing all the other deserving employees underneath him. So instead of the CEO giving those high-ranking positions to dedicated employees that have been working for them for years, they give it to their children because, you know, they're their children. They want to keep wealth within the family and just want to have their whole family up at the top. And this happens way more than you think. Do you happen to know the brand Louis Vuitton? You might not know them. They're not that popular. The owner of Louis Vuitton has a net worth of over 200 billion. So, you know, nothing too crazy. Anyways, the CEO of Louis Vuitton is Bernard Arnault. I feel like I'm saying his name wrong. Like, he's French and I can't speak French. Bernard Arnault. Bernard Arnault. So anyways, the CEO of Louis Vuitton is Bernard. He is not the founder of Louis Vuitton. He's not even a fashion designer. He's a businessman. But in 1988, he purchased a huge stake of the company. Then he became the majority stakeholder, and he's basically the CEO of Louis Vuitton now. Bernard also has a hefty stake in the very popular brand Christian Dior. So basically this man is loaded, but let's talk about Bernard's children. So Bernard has 5 children. All of them have official roles in all of the brands that he controls. And even his niece Stephanie has an official role in his brands. So basically the whole family is set. So Delphine is his eldest daughter, and she's actually the CEO of Christian Dior. And let's keep it a buck. We all know the reason why she was giving those huge opportunities and those huge positions, because her daddy owns the companies. And I'm 100% sure that there's so many qualified candidates for the roles that Delphine and the other children have been given, but it's about who you know, not what you know, unfortunately. So these individuals with the expertise and with the background knowledge on fashion or just in business in general, those people are not given access to those opportunities because they're not related to the CEO. They're not related to people in high ranking positions. Sure, they have the expertise, but if you don't know anyone, then no one's gonna hire you, right? And you're gonna be stuck doing the job that you're overqualified for. But I will talk about the impact of nepotism later in this video. So nepotism often arises because a family member wants to help their other family member. They don't want to see them suffer. They obviously want to help them, get a job, get their life together, and they want to continue that generational wealth within your family. Because of course, you don't want your great-great-grandchildren to be living in poverty. I mean, sure, you might never meet them, but I'm sure everyone wants their family and their family from years from now to have a good life and to be living nicely and not be scrambling for money, which is valid because who would not want to be wealthy? Once you're wealthy, you want to keep that wealth. You don't want to lose it. You want your family to be good. I know I do. Like, if I was wealthy, I would bless my family and my people with wealth. No questions asked. And I'm sure a lot of people would do the same. And that's kind of how nepotism forms. So because of this, nepotism on the surface may seem noble and it may seem like a good thing. However, it does raise a lot of concerns about fairness in various contexts, such as the employment area. And also, it's worth noting that nepotism is not a new phenomenon. It's been here for a very long time. It has deep historical roots and it can vary in its prevalence and acceptance across different cultures and different time periods. In a lot of societies, family connection is seen as the most secure connection you can have in your life. Especially back in the day, I feel like family was such like a strong term, like they're the only ones who have your back, they're the only ones you can trust. Family is family, no matter what happens. But nowadays, if your family is toxic, if you have a toxic mom, toxic dad, I feel like society is more accepting and will be like, cut them off. Like, just cut them off. But back in the day, it's like, no, that's your mom. That's literally your sister. You cannot cut them off. Because you know that saying, blood is thicker than water, basically means that your family connections are the most strongest connection you can have in this life. Like, no friend is above your family. And this saying has been around for a very, very, very long time. It actually traces all the way back to the 12th century. So that's a very long time. So it was definitely common back in the day, and I'll still say it's still common now, but way more common back in the day for families to stick together no matter what, and to keep things within the family, such as businesses. And this is where nepotism takes the front and center stage. But I honestly believe that it's really important to acknowledge the complexities of nepotism and to understand that, yes, you want to help your family members, you want to make sure that your family's good and help them have jobs and continue the family wealth, that we're not allowing people who have the qualifications and have the skills to excel because the positions are taken up by people who know people at the top. I think it's important to just try to strike a balance between supporting your family members, yet also hiring based on skill, dedication, loyalty, and expertise. So now that we have unraveled the basics of nepotism, let's talk about the impact of nepotism. So the impact of nepotism. I feel like I've already talked about the impact of nepotism a little bit earlier in this video, but let's actually dive into it more because nepotism affects all of us. So let's get into it. So first and foremost, nepotism completely erodes the principle of fairness within organizations. So when decisions about hiring, promotions, and job opportunities are based purely on family connections rather than skill, qualifications, and the expertise, that will lead actual people who have the skills and expertise to feel frustrated and get demotivated because their talent and their hard work is not being appreciated, because they don't even have the opportunity to prove that they have the skills for that role, because that role is automatically given to a family member. And I remember when I used to work at Tim Hortons, the ghetto, basically everyone who worked there knew someone who already worked there, or they were related to the manager. But me, I didn't know anyone who actually worked there. I was just very persistent and I was pretty annoying, so that's how I got the job. So it worked, so that was great. But honestly, my worst job ever, hated it. Anyway, so one of the workers, he was the nephew of the manager. When I tell you he was the worst worker there, he was the worst one. But honestly, it's Tim Hortons. Like, technically you don't really need that much skill to work there, but like, you should have some common sense on how to make coffee. You know, making coffee it's easy. You just gotta do 1 2 1 2 and you're Gucci and you're done. But this man could not do anything. I just want to mention real quick that even though I'm saying that working at Tim Hortons doesn't require like that much like skill or technical skill, you still have to do a lot and deal with like a lot of terrible customers. So it's not an easy job. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, it was easy, da da da. No, it's not, and that's why I hated it. Anyways, this guy could literally not make one order right. It was just bizarre. Like, he couldn't make someone's coffee right, he couldn't get an ice cap right, he put too much milk, too much sugar, and it was just annoying because me and my coworkers would have to deal with the angry customers yelling at us because he would not face them. We had to face them, and we had to be the ones who fixed the order every single time. And it was so bad that some of us actually complained to the manager, but of course nothing was done because he's the manager's nephew. He wasn't going anywhere. And this is where nepotism is a problem, because there are a lot of people who are qualified to work at Tim Hortons. There's a lot of qualified people who can take on positions in certain businesses, but they're not given that opportunity because the manager has a son that needs a job. They're going to be prioritized and they're going to get that position rather than someone who has the skill. Like, you're seeing what I'm saying, right? Like, people who lack the skills are given the opportunity just because of who they know. So this in turn actually affects the organization, because employees who are seeing all these children rise to the top of the ranks without having any expertise, it's gonna make them feel like they're not being evaluated on a level playing field, that their hard work that they're putting into the organization doesn't mean anything. So it's gonna demotivate them. It's gonna make them not want to keep on working or getting better at their job, because in the end of the day, no matter how good they get, they're not gonna be able to advance within that business. This brings me to my next reasoning, that nepotism can hinder the success of a business, because when the most qualified candidates are not placed in these key positions to help the company grow, it will result in suboptimal performance. And this performance gap can become apparent over time and affect and stunt the company's growth. Because if you have an incompetent person leading a business, that business will not grow and that business will fail. And one brand that does come to my mind when I think of this, I don't know if I can clearly say that nepotism is the reason why this business failed. There's definitely other factors as well, but because of who was running the business, I do wonder if nepotism did play a part in this business's failure. And this business is an American business. It's called Chalk. Hope I'm saying that right. So basically, this was an American business that sold jewelry, rugs, clothing, footwear, I think basically just everything. It was actually founded in 1904 by Emil Goldchalk, and the company was family owned for many years. And so in the early 2000s, Jim Falley took over as the CEO. He's actually married to one of the family members of the Goldchalk family. And under Jim Fallett's, I think it's Falley or Fallett. I really need to learn how to pronounce things better. So under Jim Fallett's leadership, the company did face many financial difficulties, and they had a hard time keeping up with the latest retail trends, and they also had a hard time competing with other businesses that are similar to theirs. So in 2009, the Goldchalk business filed for bankruptcy in 2009, and they ended up liquidating all of their assets, and they closed all of their stores, marking the end of the company. And this company has been around since 1904, so for a very long time. So 1904 to 2009, that's a very long run. But of course, I can't solely blame Jim Fallett for the business failing, because as we can see, Jim Fallett was married to someone in the business already, so he already had that connection. So it's very clear that that connection is what got him the CEO position of the company. So it does make me question that, okay, since he clearly got it because he's married to a family member, did he have the necessary skills to back it up? I was trying so hard to find information on him, even find a picture of him, but I couldn't, because I wanted to see his expertise. I wanted to see what qualifications does he have in retail or in business to become a CEO of such a big company. But as I stated before, my question is that would Goldchalks still be around if someone else was leading the business? And of course, we'll never know the answer to that question, but that's something that I definitely encourage you to think about. But I would also like to mention that there are a lot of family-owned businesses that still do really, really well. Because as I stated earlier, Louis Vuitton, basically the whole family is up in that business, and that business is doing really, really well. So there's a lot of factors that come to play when a business fails. So nepotism is not the only reason, but I definitely do believe it is a huge reason why some businesses tend to fail. In the long term, the reputational damage that is caused by nepotism can be detrimental to a business, because it may deter very talented people from applying to that business because they know that they'll never excel because the whole family is up at the top. And once that family is done, or they die, or they pass away or retire, their children will then take over. But even though I'm talking about nepotism in an employment and business context, it actually goes beyond that. Nepotism can also have implications on a societal societal level. Because when people see that opportunities are unfairly distributed by family connections rather than merit, it can and it does lead to a sense of social injustice and social and economic inequality. Because when all of the high paying positions are occupied by all of the family members, that leads everyone else to be working the lower level jobs and not to be making as much money. That's why I hate when people say, oh, you have to work hard, you have to just put in the work, da da da. No, you don't. You have to know people. You can be literally the best of the best, and if you don't know someone, you won't get a position that you're qualified for. And it really sucks to be stuck at a low paying position when you know you have the qualifications to be up there. It's probably the most frustrating thing, and I see it all the time, so I feel you. We're in this together. However, I really want to emphasize that nepotism is not strictly confined to employment alone. It can and it does extend to various other areas such as politics, where the appointment of family members to highly influential positions affects the governance and the decision making of a nation. And when I think of this, North Korea is the very first country that pops into my head. I'm not sure if you guys know about North Korea and their long history. I'm not gonna get into the history of them. Basically, like, North Korea is a dictatorship. It's not where you want to be. People still visit North Korea, surprisingly, but personally, I would never go there. You'll never catch me in North Korea. But basically, North Korea has been led by the Kim family for about 70 years now. And if you're not part of the Kim family, you have absolutely no chance of becoming the supreme leader of North Korea. And this is where nepotism affects people's livelihoods, not just their employment, but their actual lives and their day-to-day activities. Because North Korea does not treat their citizens well. Like, for example, the North Korean government does not permit freedom of thought or freedom of expression or information. All of the media present in North Korea is strictly controlled by the government. And that's why a lot of people try to escape North Korea, because it's not a safe place. And it's insane. That's why you'll never catch me there. Like, you literally would not catch me there. But I don't want to talk too much about North Korea before they try to attack me, because yeah, I'm not trying to you know what I mean? And change may be possible for North Korea, but they would need a new leader to step in and dismantle the whole system, which I don't see happening anytime soon. But North Korea is just an example of how nepotism continuously affects the lives of individuals, and understanding the impact of nepotism is crucial to being able to address this issue. But before we talk about addressing nepotism, I just want to talk about some Nepo babies. And I just wanted to talk about Nepo babies just to kind of elevate the mood of this video, because I feel like it was coming a little too complaining and a little too dark. The North Korean government brought the energy down, so let's bring it back up. A Nepo baby is a term referring to the children of celebrities who have succeeded in careers similar to those of their parents. The implication is that because their parents already had connections to the industry, that child was able to use those connections to build a career in that industry. And there are a lot of Nepo babies, so let's get into it. Let's talk about Miss Blue Ivy Carter. So she is the daughter of the very, very successful musicians Beyonce and Jay-Z. So both of her parents are powerhouses in the music industry. So if she wanted to be a singer, dancer, or anything within the entertainment industry, she is set. So people have been talking about Blue because Beyonce is currently on tour and she has brought her daughter along with her. So the both of them have been performing together, and people at the beginning had a lot to say. Honestly, for the most part, I've seen a lot of people supporting Blue. Most of the comments are very supportive, which is great because she's only 11 years old. Let's keep that in mind. She's literally a kid. And honestly, I feel like Beyonce dancing with her daughter is just a very cute moment. And in the end of the day, it is Beyonce's tour. Like, it's not like it's some business, like a Louis Vuitton. She can bring whoever she wants on her tour with her. And it's not like Blue Ivy is taking up any spots. Beyonce already has all of her qualified dancers. Blue Ivy was not at every single tour date, but she was at most of them. So she's not taking up anyone's space. She's just dancing with her mom. So I didn't really understand like the backlash in the beginning when Blue Ivy first started dancing with her mom. People just said, oh, she's not good enough to dance with her mom. Like, she's not good enough to be on the stage. And I'm like, she's 11 years old. Cut her some slack. But either way, I think it's a really beautiful moment between Blue Ivy and her mom. And I wouldn't say that Blue Ivy has benefited from nepotism as of now, but 100%, I think she will go in the entertainment industry and she will benefit. Anyways, let's move on to another Nepo baby that I was actually shocked about. I did not know she was a Nepo baby, which kind of like made me sad, but I was like, you know what? She's really good at her job, so I'm not gonna let her being a Nepo baby affect my opinion on her. Maya Hawke is actually a Nepo baby. Both of her parents are highly successful actors. Her mother is Uma Thurman and her father is Ethan Hawke. And I actually found out about Maya through Stranger Things, which is my show, and she is a really good actor on Stranger Things. That whole cast can act their tail off. The acting in Stranger Things is top notch, and Maya fits in perfectly. It doesn't feel like she was given that opportunity solely because her parents were established actors. And as I said, even though she's a Nepo baby, I do feel like she does deserve that role. However, the fact fact that she is a NEPO baby, it's like, okay, did her parents' connection have anything to do with her getting that role in the first place? That's something that I wondered, because I'm like, okay, like if you have the connections, like your father is literally Ethan Hawke, like that's gonna benefit you if you want to be an actor. I'm not gonna say that she only got the role on Stranger Things because she's a NEPO baby. However, the connections that her parents have most definitely has helped her get other roles and has helped her elevate her acting career. And the thing too with NEPO babies is that since their parents are highly qualified in that certain profession, they can easily coach their kids to become one of the best. Because Ethan Hawke is a very talented actor, so he most definitely helped and coached his daughter on how to be an actor, put her in the best schools to become a really good actress. And even though she's super talented, it's a fact that she has not had to work as hard as other emerging and aspiring actors and actresses out there because of her parents. And as I said, she is talented, so I will be checking out more of her work in the future, and I wish her all the best. Also, apparently Jamie Lee Curtis is a NEPO baby too. I had no idea about. I thought she started from the bottom and came to the top, but I was wrong and I was shocked. And her parents are both American actors. Her father was Tony Curtis and her mom is Janet Leigh, and they are both successful American actors. And I saw this article on Vanity Fair, and the title, I just found it funny because it said Jamie Lee loves being a NEPO baby, and I'm just like, duh, who wouldn't love being a NEPO baby? I would. Being a NEPO baby, your life is 10 times easier. But you know what? We're not NEPO babies, so we have to start from the bottom, but it's okay because at least we're gonna cherish it more, right? Right. But here's an example of a NEPO baby that has faced extreme backlash for being one. And the backlash, in my opinion, is very much justified. But do you guys remember Olivia Jade? If you remember that huge college admission scandal that happened like I think 2 or 3 years ago. So basically in 2019, a bunch of rich and famous celebrities were caught bribing college officials to have their children attend these different colleges and universities across America. And Olivia Jade, her family was caught in this whole scandal. So Olivia Jade, she is a YouTuber, and her mom is Lori Loughlin. She's an American actress. I think she's most known for her role on Full House. And her father is I cannot pronounce this. Her father is Momismo Ganoli, but he's a fashion designer. So both of her parents are very respected in their fields. Well, were respected. And they were established and highly successful and highly wealthy. So Olivia Jade's parents agreed to pay $500,000 in bribes to have her and her sister designated as recruits on the USC's crew team, even though they are not part of the team. This facilitated their admission to the school USC. It's very obvious how this is wrong on very many levels. And this is why I always say when people have money, it brings out their evil side and you can see who they truly are. But Olivia Jade and her sister and a bunch of other kids, they were given these opportunities to be in these prestigious universities by literally putting in zero effort. All they did was have their parents pay, and I'm not saying that these children begged their parents to pay for them to get into the schools. I don't really know the logistics, but either way, the money was paid, and these kids of these famous celebrities were given the opportunity to go to university without putting in any hard work. So a lot of people who actually have to work hard and have to, do the SATs and do all of those exams to get into the schools, they did not get an opportunity to go there because their spot was taken by someone who literally has no qualifications to be at that school. And when this college admissions first hit the news, it was literally crazy. A lot of people were making videos about this, and there was a lot of backlash targeted towards these families, which is 100% justified. And honestly, the story is just very upsetting because I know a lot of people work hard to get into universities to try to give themselves and their families a better life. Yet we have people with money who are just rigging the system and using their money to benefit them and their family members and having no regard for other people who have to actually work hard to get to those positions. It was a really unfortunate situation, and it just really exposed the dark sides of having money. But I'm very happy that they were caught, that they have been punished accordingly. And hopefully moving forward, these universities can have better policies to prevent these type of things from happening again. Okay, so now we have a good sense of what nepotism is, the impacts of nepotism, and we have some examples of people who have benefited from nepotism. But how do we actually address this issue? It's definitely not easy to address nepotism because it's a very complex thing that has been occurring for a very long time. And I know like a lot of businesses have HR departments, and these departments can be a very important step in in combating nepotism because they oversee the recruitment and the promotions that are occurring within a brand, and they can enforce anti-nepotism policies within that organization. I feel like the most obvious way to prevent nepotism is to actually evaluate people on their skill and their qualification when hiring. And obviously this is easier said than done because I'm sure these families will find loopholes and find ways to still have their family members up there with them. Because remember when I was talking about the CEO of Louis Vuitton, Bernard Arnault, he's getting older, and once he dies, you best believe one of his kids will take over as the CEO of Louis Vuitton. It's not gonna go to just some random employee within the business. And I low-key feel like it might go to Delphine, who is the CEO of Christian Dior right now, but only time will tell. But I think the best and the most effective way to combat nepotism is to call it out, because raising public awareness on nepotism can educate the public to make informed decisions on how they want to move forward. I just think it's important for us to call them out, because when we call them out, we're forcing these businesses to take accountability of what's occurring, because it's unfair. So don't be scared to call something out, because we have the power as a collective to call these people at the top out and to demand fairness. So don't be scared. But overall, nepotism sucks. And addressing nepotism involves a multifaceted approach that involves the government, the businesses, and the public. By working together, hopefully we can create a society that's more equitable and that everyone has a fair opportunity. However, that is way easier said than done. As we conclude our exploration of nepotism, let's just remember that nepotism goes further than just employment. It affects people's livelihoods. So keep in mind that the road to a more just world is usually not as straightforward as we would like it to be, but it's definitely a worthwhile endeavor. And even though that sounds really cliche, I have to say it. But collectively, we all have the power to dismantle obstacles and forge a world where opportunities are accessible to everyone, regardless of your family name. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something new. If you did, please share this video with your friends or family, like it, subscribe, comment below. Let's strive for a world where merit and hard work are the true keys to success, not because your dad's the CEO of Louis Vuitton.